Back with a live video one more time on this fine Wednesday on how to never look toned. Yes, the exact things you might be doing that you probably shouldn't be doing. If you want a bit more muscle, certainly, but I'll just look like you lift weights, right? If you're already lifting weights, you might as well get more validation for those efforts. So these are some things people tend to do wrong in the pursuit of toning up. Generally, I don't like this tone word, but that's what people resonate with. A muscle can't lengthen or tone. It either builds or wilts, right? And we want to make sure your muscle builds because there's a lot of benefit for your quality of life. So the first mistake is lift light for too many reps. Okay. This is going to be harder than I thought to write this way. So there's nothing inherently wrong with lifting light weights. Where people go wrong is in doing it correctly. Form tends to break down once you're getting over 15, 20 reps in a set. You're starting to get sloppy with it. You're not using the same tension form that you need to optimize. And then you start to rush through these reps and you don't get to that point of failure, which is actually those last couple reps when you're really grinding it out and the reps are starting to slow down without you even wanting it to. Those are the ones that have shown to have the most potential in improving muscle response. Okay. So lift moderate weight, at least 8 to 15 reps per set is generally the sweet spot. Now you want to get to a point where you really feel like you want to drop the weight near the end. But you can grind, you maybe have 1 or 2 more reps in the tank. That's kind of the good rule of thumb, that you're lifting heavy enough with enough intensity to actually build that muscle. Diving without pressure is a lump of coal. Next, too little rest. There's an obsession with this in fitness that you jump around like a gazelle, you're burning more calories. Your Apple Watch tells you you burn 600 calories. You feel very validated for your efforts. None of that really matters. There's only so many calories you can burn in a 30 to 60-minute workout. That doesn't really move the needle for fat loss or tone or muscle gain. The science actually shows more rest to a point, and it kind of depends on the exercise. If you're doing cable tricep pushdowns, you can maybe rest for a minute and get back in it. But if you're doing a barbell squat or bench press or deadlift, more rest is better so that you can perform more reps at a heavier weight, which is ultimately the biggest piece to the puzzle. So generally 2 to 3 minutes for big compound lifts, less so if you're doing isolation movements like dumbbell curls, anything to do with a cable machine, generally speaking. All right. Number 3, too much. And I'm not anti-cardio. It has its place for heart health. It does support a deficit by burning some calories. But where it goes wrong is sending an interference effect. It's sending mixed messages to your muscle that, okay, we don't need to hang around. We need to be lean and light so we can run further distances. And over time, obviously, that impacts how much you can potentially gain in terms of tone and muscle, but also sacrifice muscle in the pursuit of becoming a better runner or cardio enthusiast. And if you're already restricting calories to lose fat, it's a recipe for disaster, right? So, fine line, I suggest prioritizing walking and maybe a little bit of VO2 max work, like sprinting once a week or playing a rec sport. Too much can be bad, right? If you do too much, you're going to have to really balance it out in other ways. And that's a topic for another video. All right, last one. I know my chicken scratch does not read well. Not enough protein. This is a huge one, particularly with women, I find, more than men, but both sexes do it wrong. It is going to support the strength workouts to help you tone up. And one without the other is not nearly as effective. So if you're already restricting calories to lose weight, lose body fat, your body will throw out muscle, the baby with the bathwater, the fat, if you don't do those 2 things, strength train and eat sufficient protein. Now, this number is hotly contested to some degree, but I would suggest for most people, it's getting over 150 grams a day at minimum, but multiply your body weight by 0.8 to 1. So if you're 200 grams, or sorry, if you're 200 pounds, 200 grams of protein is the high end of the range, and you can probably get away with, 160, 170, 180. Okay. You do those two things, you're going to get the tone you seek in due time. But it takes time. This isn't nearly as fast moving as fat loss. Toning up, building muscle, it's a slower grind, but it pays off, both in terms of how you look and how you perform in all areas of life, and ultimately how your metabolism runs at rest. All right. Hopefully this is helpful. Anything to add to this list? There's probably more, but that's the big four. Drop them in the comments below. Love to hear your feedback. And I'll see you next week as I keep slamming into this dog cage that's next to my computer. Cheers.